think that federal aid should be provided to California for as long as it takes.
Well, it's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called a smelt. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So what's happening in California is a true tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know. You know, you talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half your tax base of California. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have, the water comes from the
phase. We're in the public safety phase.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
It's one can't even respond to it. I mean, it's people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden. And he had the backs of every single person in this community. He didn't play politics, didn't try to divide any of us.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, I'm sure by this time you've heard about the fires in Southern California. I'm not going to call them wildfires because I'm not so sure that they're so wild. But one thing that I understand about these fires is that they are shining bright enough, burning bright enough to illuminate the political corruption that is going on in this state. And for that, we must be glad, even though some of our fellow citizens in this state are losing everything. Now, I've received an abundance of messages, people inquiring and saying, bro, you all right? You good? Everything all right? Well, rest assured, y'all, I am in Northern California, not Southern. I am in Northern California, where we ourselves in the past have experienced many fires like this. Because of the mismanagement of the forestry industry and services of this state, the mismanagement of the governance of this state. It's been highlighted by Donald Trump in the past. He pointed out how our governor and the leadership of this state, and let's just point this out while we're there. Y'all, this is a Democrat state, a deep blue state who has a supermajority of Democrats in the legislature of the state of California. Every statewide office is held by a Democrat, and the governor is a Democrat. And those of us who are right-leaning, we always face frustration from our friends and neighbors who would vote Democrat in circumstances like this state that is so mismanaged, y'all, that crime is out of control, homelessness is out of control. They spent $24 billion on homelessness, and they did an audit and couldn't find out where any of the money went. Nobody could account for any of the $24 billion, not to mention the bullet train to nowhere. What about $100 billion spent and no one held to account? Well, y'all, we got the environmentalist tree huggers in this state that are enacting pain policies on the tax-paying citizens. Well, like I said, we have gone through our own large fires in Northern California, and it seems to us in the North like the people in the South just were looking. Like they didn't even care. They weren't even concerned. They weren't pressed at all. That's your problem up there in the North. Well, we understand that this state has been mismanaged and there have been no water reservoirs built from north to south. We didn't have a white Christmas just a few days ago in 2024. It was raining on Christmas. But you know what? No one harvested the rain. No one sent the rain to Southern California because no infrastructure is in place. They just let it run off into the Pacific Ocean. And here we are stuck paying taxes for inept, incompetent government. Here we are, y'all, stuck. But it seems like the folks in Southern California didn't really care until it hit their doorstep. And now they are faced with unimaginable chaos and destruction in Southern California.
And of course, the air quality is also a big concern today across Southern California.
And it's not going to get much better because of this wildfire smoke, which will travel for miles. If you have some sort of respiratory illness, you need to be aware to take care of yourself.
Even if you don't live near the fires or see smoke, the Santa Ana winds alone can be damaging to your lungs. Circle of Health Denise Tador explains.
It can affect people and cause that increased shortness of breath, that increased chest tightness, that increased cough.
Pulmonary and critical care physician Dr. Robert Goldberg with Providence Mission Hospital often sees a rush of patients when the Santa Anas swoop in. The volatile high-speed winds carry allergens, dusty ash, and the fine particulate matter of past fires. These pollutants can send your airways into uncontrollable contractions.
When you have a situation where you have cold air, you have dust, you have particulate matter in the air, that can really affect people and cause that increased spasm and shortness of breath. It really affects people with underlying lung conditions such as asthma or emphysema or COPD.
Within minutes of the start of the high wind warning, fires broke out in the Pacific Palisades and briefly in the Hollywood Hills. Not only was particulate matter 10 microns in diameter a concern, the fires bring the threat of even tinier pollutants.
Those come from things like smoke or combustion, and those are extra small. Those can get really deep into your lungs.
Scott Epstein, Planning and Rules Manager with the AQMD, says this week's wind event appears to be much stronger than what our region usually sees in an average year, with the potential to cause more widespread health problems.
Los Angeles, not just any place in Los Angeles, but you're talking about the uppity part of Los Angeles, the bougie part, where folks in the Palisades and folks with beachfront homes in Malibu are just being destroyed completely. Insurance wants to pull out. The state trying to say, no, we're going to pass legislation, emergency edicts, to where the insurance can't leave. You think they're not going to fight that in court? Bruh, you're going to have a hard time moving forward. And here these people are in Southern California. Multi-million-dollar homes, $20 million homes on the beach, gone. $10 million homes in the Palisades, gone. Your families lived there for 30, 40 years. The house is gone. All those memories, all those photos, all those mementos. I saw one woman on the news that said, my brother's ashes were in my house. Well, lady, hate to sound so brash, but those ashes are now surrounded by plenty other ashes. The ashes of your kitchen countertops, the ashes of those walls, the ashes of your garage door. They are all surrounding your brother now. And you got to deal with it because you continue to vote blue. You continue to vote Democrat because the things that we have been crying about and screaming about for years didn't affect you personally. And you said, well, as long as it's over there, that's your problem. We're going to stay blue over here. We're going to stay Democrat over here. We're going to rock out and keep it this way because we got it good. Well, maybe, just maybe. A little compassion, a little empathy will be in order in this moment. And we not gloating, we not glad about it. I feel sorry for everyone who is impacted in this circumstance. I just hate that it took this for y'all to understand what we've been talking about in this state for so long. Now, understand that in this last election of 2024, California was more red than I've ever seen it in my lifetime. And I appreciated that. But who saw this coming? Let me tell you who saw it coming. The mayor of Los Angeles. Yeah, this woman who is a political grifter who has been in politics her entire life, from the state capitol where I once worked, to Congress in Washington, D.C., just a Democrat operative and apparatchik. They said, hey, we need somebody in LA who's going to toe the line. We don't need them to be competent. We don't need them to know what they're doing. We just need somebody who's loyal to the party. Hey, how about Karen Bass? Put her in place. She ain't got nothing to do. She's termed out. Let's see if we can put her in place in Los Angeles. And y'all know Los Angeles at this point, because of illegal immigration, is heavily Latino. And they say, oh, you gonna put a blackity black as the mayor? But I don't sit right with everybody. And they say, hey, it's all good, bro. It's cool. She's one of us. She's loyal to the party. She ain't gonna make no waves. She gonna go along to get along. She gonna do whatever we tell her to do. Let's just put her in. Everything will be okay. Well, here we are.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home? Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
No. Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down? David, as you say, she wasn't very keen to answer any of your questions there. And fire chiefs are also admitting that they just don't have enough personnel to take out the fires.
Yeah, they're fighting all sorts of challenges. They're talking about a water shortage. There are reports of fire hydrant failures. They've been unable to use firefighting aircraft for much of the day due to the smoke that is billowing ominously from the hills where the wildfires are raging. And I suppose despite that political storm, this is, of course, at its heart, a human story, because we've now 80,000 people evacuated. Tens of thousands of others are on standby to be evacuated. 2 lives have been lost in the Eaton fire, which is what's causing the consequence behind us. The city's iconic landscape almost shrouded completely by the smoke. And they're really just taking it one step at a time, hoping at some stage the wind's going to change direction or to die down, and that they're going to be able to get this fire under control.
Just a few days into 2025, and this woman, this incompetent woman who can't even read a script, was in Ghana of all places, having had a forewarning of the crazy winds that were going to hit the Los Angeles area. She knew this stuff was coming. She had a few days to get her business in order and protect the citizenry of that area. No, she said, I got some other stuff I need to do that is more important. Let these lesbians take care of it. I done put them in place in city government. I done put them in place in the fire department, in the police department. Let them handle it. They good. They butch. They strong. They strong. This woman heads off to Ghana. And she got to come back. They're like, no, we can't handle it. Things are falling apart. And she comes back from Ghana and she's met at the airport. She's questioned. She can't answer questions. Her incompetence is shining brighter than the fires in the Palisades. She can't handle it. Things are out of control. I feel sorry for y'all in LA. My friends and family who are there, I'm praying for y'all. I feel sorry for you. But this is the incompetent government that y'all voted for.
He was at a press conference last night talking about the gratitude he has from President Biden, still the current president, who has offered federal assistance as much as he needs.
Yeah, and the question is, on the campaign trail, I think it was in October of 2024, Donald Trump was saying that if he got reelected, that he could withhold federal funds from California. Obviously, he has a sort of a feud with Gavin Newsom, a feud with almost every Democrat governor and senator and Democrat in general. And I think the question going forward is, could that happen? Is this something he's going to actually do when he assumes office? Because he does kind of see the federal government and the budget and the monies as his own, as to dole out as he wishes to his friends. And so I think that's the real question going forward. But it is sort of sad that this is the same president we're getting again, that there are no lessons learned. There's no sense that Californians are Americans, right? That they are struggling in these areas. 2 people have lost their lives. These fires haven't been contained at all. It looks like they're probably going to get worse before they get better, and that he doesn't have any sort of empathy and understanding about, over what these folks are going through. People have families there. Not only, you might have families still there. I have family there and friends as well. So it's just sad and still shocking.
Literally, as you're speaking.
They said, we have no water. I said, do you have a drought? No, we don't have a drought. I said, why don't you have no water? Because the water isn't allowed to flow down. It's got a natural flow from Canada all the way up north. Water, more water than they could ever use. And in order to protect a tiny little fish, the water up north gets routed into the Pacific Ocean. Millions and millions of gallons of water gets poured. I could have water for all of that land, water for your forests. Your forests are dry as a bone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dangerous.
That water could be routed. You could have everything. Oh, not only dangerous, billions of dollars a year they spend on forest fires. And, there's a case with the environment. They're not allowed to rake their forests because you're not allowed to touch it. And all they have to do is clean their forest, meaning rake it up, get rid of the leaves, get rid of, leaves that are sitting there for 5 years. And
we'll certainly get rid of the dead fall.
And get rid of the trees that have fallen.
Yeah.
And it's about damn time. Governor Kate Brown, Governor Gavin Newsom, U.S. Secretary of Interior Deb Haaland, and tribal leaders all coming together to celebrate the world's largest dam removal along the Klamath River Thursday. The groups meeting at Iron Gate Fish Hatchery in Hornbrook. Last month, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission issued the final approval of the historic plan to remove 4 dams on the Klamath River in California and Oregon. The decision is a culmination of years of work on the project's licensee, PacifiCorp, Pacific Power's parent company, on the parts of Oregon and California, and several state and local agencies, along with several tribes.
The folks out there that exercised your leadership every single day, that dialectic that we had throughout this process, where you expected and demanded more. You expressed that at times, and sometimes it was uncomfortable. Other times it was absolutely justifiable. I just want to thank you for making this moment possible.
The Klamath Basin watershed covers 9.4 million acres, an area larger than 9 U.S. states. Leaders of the Klamath, Yurok, and Karuk tribes attended Thursday. The tribes say the project will revitalize nearly 400 miles of the Klamath River and its tributaries, hoping to help restore river health and fish population.
Y'all, it seems so simple that governments could just be copycats of other successful governments and say, hey, California is in ruins. It is falling apart. It is trash. We are overtaxed. We are underserved. And it seems like the state government could just copycat other governments that are doing well. Take example, the government of Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis, who seems to be doing a stellar job in that state. Well, someone caught him in a press conference and asked him to opine on the California situation, and he had a few choice words. Y'all check this out.
For the president-elect or a president to be criticizing. Is it appropriate for people in your industry to try to create division and to try to create narratives anytime these things happen? Now, you're not as interested in doing that because Newsom is a D. If Newsom was a Republican, you guys would you would have it nailed to the wall for what they're doing over there. And I know we've dealt with it. We just assume in Florida anytime something happens, it's going to be politicized by the media. So you guys sitting in judgment of Donald Trump, I mean, excuse me, I think your track record of politicizing these things is very, very bad.
Okay, last question.
Newsom should resign and that the wildfires are all his fault. So do you agree with those comments?
I remember when we had the Surfside Tower collapse, I had people from the Washington Post trying to blame me for it immediately without having any facts or anything. Oh, he didn't declare a state of emergency. First of all, state of emergency doesn't mean you can't respond. It's all that. Excuse me?
Biden did it. I think that's what she's saying.
Well, but what I'm telling you is you guys are trying to make an issue of it when I have watched from this seat. In fact, when I got elected governor, I was meeting with some of the other Republican governors, and what they would say is, hey, if you have a natural disaster, just know media's coming at you, they're going to do it. It's not the same. That mayor of LA, if that were a Republican mayor, I could only imagine what that would do. I mean, you know the fires are at high risk and you try to go to Africa or wherever she was to go on some type of voyage. You should have been there preparing and doing that. And yet I don't see a lot of heat being directed in that thing. And so, you know, I'd like to see some balance on how this is done. You could criticize the president-elect, but I think you also have to hold these other people accountable, and I have not seen that.
Because of the tree-hugging environmentalists in the state of California, they have failed. Not only did they fail, they have blocked the work to build reservoirs and infrastructure to channel water from the north of the state to the south, from Canada even, all the way down to the south. It is possible. Y'all, this stuff is preventable. This stuff didn't have to happen, and that's the worst thing about it. It's going to add insult to injury. It's going to pour salt in the wound of all these multi-millionaires. Talk about Hollywood actors and actresses who have lost everything. Saw Mel Gibson on the Joe Rogan podcast. He said, man, as I sit here on this microphone, I'd be surprised if my house was still standing. He gets back home, and sure enough, the house is gone. So many other celebrities who live in that area. It is the highfalutin area, y'all. This is the bougie area of LA. Gone, blown down, just in a matter of hours. And even as I sit here and record this video, the last I heard was that the fire had 8% containment. Y'all, they still ain't controlling it. Imagine this, y'all. You buy a lot or a piece of property in a bougie area, and you're meticulous about your landscaping. You want everything to look right. You want everything to feel right. You spend millions of dollars on it, and you say, hey, what is that fire hydrant down at the bottom of my driveway? Can we remove it? Can we do something with it? Because I don't like seeing it every day. Although I do like the fact that since it's a fire hydrant, there's a red zone and can't nobody park in front of my house. Okay, let's leave it. Let's be cool, because I can sleep at night knowing that if anything ever happened to my property, there's a fire hydrant right there. Oh, if my property catches on fire, they can pull up, get some water on me, and I'm good. I will survive. Well, y'all, I'm sure plenty of people had that mentality in Los Angeles, but during this emergency, the fire department was pulling up to these fire hydrants, and you know what? They put the hose on them and connected and was ready to go, and they figured out that it wasn't no water in the hydrant. No, these were Hollywood props. Ain't no water in there. There's no functionality. There's no utility in the hydrant. Why? Because you haven't put the infrastructure in place to supply it with the water. You're letting the water run off into the ocean because of mismanagement of city government, because of mismanagement of county government, because of mismanagement of state government. We all see it. Now, the good thing that will come out of this is that it is illuminated by the firelight for all of America and all of the world to see. Let's see how these Democrats operate. Let's see how these inept elected officials operate. Expose it all.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
A few moments later.
LA mayoral candidate and real estate developer Rick Caruso criticizing the city's response to the windstorm and fires. He says officials should have been more prepared.
The real issue to me is twofold. We've had decades to go remove the brush in these hills that spreads so quickly. And the second is you got to have water. And my understanding is the reservoir was not refilled in time and in a timely manner to keep the hydrants going. So that's a failure, whether on DWP's part or another city agency. But this is basic stuff. This isn't high science here. And it's all about leadership and management that we're seeing a failure of. And all of these residents are paying the ultimate price for that.
Despite what you have heard from Caruso, no firefighters have told us that they are running out of water.
And let's go out to Gigi Graciette. She is live in Pacific Palisades. I know your signal's not the best, but Gigi, what can you tell us?
Well, firefighters have told me they have no water on this block, and you may be able to make out the ember storm that we're in the middle of right now. This house going to be a total loss. They have no water to put on this fire. They are standing by because they're trying to save the home that is next.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids. Losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that. I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right there.
One of the best commentaries that I saw on this issue is by Adam Carolla, because he's in the middle of that mix. He not set apart like me up north. No, he not in the middle of the valley. No, he right there in the mix amongst the Hollywood elite, and he knows how things operate. He knows how things work, and he was able to opine on it on his own podcast. Caught up with him in a hotel room. He said, man, let me turn on my camera and my mic and go for it because I know about this intimately. Let's let Adam Carolla teach y'all what's really going on. Now, the language is a little salty. If you ain't with that, then you can turn it off now. But if you really want to know what's going on in Los Angeles and that county, check this out.
The guys who lost their $20 million homes on the ocean side of PCH will be knee deep in the permit process. They will be trying to pull permits when the guys in the Winnebagos will have been back for months before those guys ever get a permit. As a matter of fact, good fucking luck, because here's the deal. Alan Hamill and Suzanne Summers moved because they could not get a permit to rebuild their home of 40 years on the ocean on PCH, right? So here's what's going to happen. Let me just give you guys a little primer of what's going to happen. You know how Bill Maher seems real conservative now when he's like arguing with Jane Fonda about regulations, too many regulations, like strangling everything? Because remember, when Bill Maher tried to put solar in his house in Beverly Hills, that's when he turned against the government, because he saw what the government and the overreach of government and overregulation does. He got strangled. It took him 3 years to build a solar shack. He had a whole countdown on his show, day 1,000 since I've got my permit for my solar. He turned. Okay. The people who live in Malibu, who live in Santa Monica, who live in the Palisades, those are some of the most progressive blue voters in the world, or in the United States. They are a bastion of blue. So what those guys did is, all the people in the Palisades, I checked it out. It's about 80% blue, 80% progressive, 80% Democrat. Now, these are all sitting around crying about Karen Bass, water pressure. How come the forest wasn't cleared of all the brush? What's happening with the infrastructure? You guys all voted for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. You all voted for Gavin Newsom. And now you fucking get what you get. Oh, now that your house is on fire, well, now you're thinking about something else. Now you want to know what's going on. What's going on around here? You didn't give a shit about what was going on when other people's houses were on fire, but now you care. So here's what's going to happen. All these people who were deep blue Democrats are now going to have to pull a permit to rebuild. And they're going to get the 28-year-old from the Coastal Commission telling them to go fuck off. And then they're going to vote for Trump or whoever's Trumpian next. You see, they're going to get turned. They're going to get turned hard because, as I've always said, live in the rent control apartment in Santa Monica, fine, good. We know how you vote. Go deal with the city. Try to pull a permit. These are going to be thousands of homes, super wealthy people, and these people don't want to live in Van Nuys. They like it where they are. They love Malibu. They love the Palisades. They love Santa Monica. There's going to be a whole bunch of rich people, and they're going to go, I'm rebuilding, and I want to rebuild as fast as I can. And between the part where they go in to the planning commission and plan check and initially and try to pull a permit, to the time the first load of lumber, the first load of 2x4s is dropped off on their lot where their house formerly stood, it's going to be 3 years. And 1,000 permits and 1,000 arguments and 1,000 discussions with the Coastal Commission. They're going to go nuts. And when they start running into the bureaucracy and the red tape, they're going to start going nuts, and they're going to vote for Rick Caruso next time because they want to get. That's all Trump says, is we're going to pull back the regulations. We're going to free people up. They're going to find out. They're going to get bit by their own snake. They're going to convert. I am telling you, these are the bluest people on the planet, and they're going to be fucking ripshit pissed when the city and the Coastal Commission tell them to fuck off. And by the way, I don't think the Coastal Commission is going to okay anyone rebuilding any of their houses on the coast, because they say they're in the business of protecting the coast. They're in the business of getting you to leave. They will get their wish, which is no buildings. And they're going to make it hard for everyone. And then we're going to have to restructure the whole thing, because we can't have 9 angry lesbians controlling everything that goes on in Malibu, the Palisades, and Santa Monica.
And there you have it, y'all. The real deal spiel from California, from the West Coast that used to be the best coast. But now we ain't so sure about the left coast, because it seems that things have gone awry because of incompetent government. We don't know where things are going to go moving forward. Insurance is pulling out. Businesses pulling out. Taxpaying citizens moving away. They've had enough. Well, you can imagine, with tens of thousands of homes and structures in Southern California, well, that tax base is leaving, based on what Adam Carolla had to say, because it's going to be difficult to rebuild. They're going to make it difficult for you because of Democrat policies that they've put in place and have used over the years to enrich themselves. See, this was built for those politicians. It wasn't built for you. So now that you are faced with calamity, now that you are faced with upheaval, Well, you really about to find out what's going on that you've been ignoring all this time. Y'all, it's unfortunate. We pray to God that no more lives are lost. Last I heard, it was 10 lives lost in the fire and tens of thousands of structures. Yeah, you can get your stuff back. You can't get the memories back. You can't get the mementos back, but you can get your house back. You can get your cars back. You can get stuff. But if you lose your life, it's over. So we pray for Southern California. We pray for California government. We just got 9 more days before we get a new president. We're going to see how all of this affects the left coast. Y'all, let me know what you think about this and the craziness that is going on in this state. Even as I believe, in my opinion, some of these fires are man-made. Ain't nobody trying to tell y'all that. But you can't tell me that all of this wind equals fire. No, no, no. I'm sure in certain situations you got power lines touching and you got old, dry, brittle foliage, trees and whatnot, forestry. But that's not every situation. The devil is in the mix. The devil is in the government. And I'm so glad that it is illuminated now, even if by firelight, that the world can see what's going on in this state. Y'all, let me know what you think about this. I'd love to know your thoughts on this issue. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time, peace.